boy, we've got some texts coming in this morning about the Film Commission, about our friend Danny Schroeder, the commercial manager for venues in Christchurch City. And it was interesting, our discussion, and the poor thing, the Chicks rugby team haka thing at the Hurricanes. And I was actually just referred, I'd missed this because no doubt the stuff buried it in the post. An excellent piece. And a shout out to Kevin Norkey. Norks, what a great piece. He basically says the whole Hurricanes thing, what a crock. This is before they gave the middle finger to their CEO. He says they should shut up and not do that political haka. But he also harks back to 2021, where cancel culture was shown to be alive and well amongst the Hurricanes, who are now calling the members of the women's team, and I'm sure people like TJ Perenara, I'm sure are calling for their right to freedom of speech and express themselves politically, whether they're wearing the Hurricanes jersey and pulling a paycheck from the Hurricanes or not. They are arguing, of course, for their right to cause trouble and say what they think, man, and speak truth to power. Interesting, then, that 3 or so years ago, people like TJ Perenara, people like the then Minister of Sport and Speaker of the House, Trevor Mallard, people like lesbian female rugby advocate Alice Soper were entirely, it would seem to me, on the other side of the conversation. And we're going to talk now to the man who sparked, well, who is part, I guess, unwillingly, of this story of hypocrisy from the Hurricanes and New Zealand rugby, New Zealand businessman Troy Bowker. Troy, welcome to the platform. Nice to have you with us.
Oh, good morning, Sean.
All right, let's go back 3 years. 3 years ago, you were a major shareholder and supporter of the Hurricanes, right? You're on the board.
Correct. That's right, yep.
Okay, how big was your shareholding? It was pretty significant, wasn't it?
12.5%.
Okay, and can you give us not embarrassed to give us dollar terms on that at the time?
I was about $1 million.
So you had $1 million in there. Troy, I know you're also actively involved in projects and welfare projects and kind of career and life development projects for the players.
Absolutely. I was one of the biggest supporter, actually, of that side of things with the Hurricanes, and players who'd fallen on rough times after the game or had ended their careers earlier, got injured. Gave tens of thousands of dollars to those players, and yeah, I was happy to do that.
And you're a bloody fan too. I've been in your box at the Cape Town, and we watched a few games, and you're an absolute Hurricanes nutter.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I've got a box there, and I was a big fan. I was a big fan, and continue to be a big fan. Not happy about the current situation, of course, but
yeah. Well, where did it all go wrong, Troy? Because completely unrelated. You had a little bit of a social media or media spat with Ian Taylor over a cartoon that Tom Scott wrote. And I'm not sure we ever got to the bottom of whether or not you guys were talking past each other. But you had a public spat with him. What on earth how did that end up having anything to do with your significant support for an investment in the Hurricanes?
Yeah, good question. So, yeah, it was just a LinkedIn discussion with Ian Taylor where he put up some ridiculous cartoon. Tom Scott actually did the cartoon, and Ian Taylor broadcast it and said that the New Zealand winning all the medals at the Olympics was to do with the Polynesian navigation ancestral. Yeah. New Zealand had ancestors, and obviously the Polynesian ancestors were the reason we were winning medals in rowing.
And you guys had a Donnybrook over it, didn't you? And
I said that's rubbish, of course. And then he got into. We just went backwards and forwards, and that was the end of it.
Yep.
And my discussion with Ian Taylor had nothing to do with the Hurricanes whatsoever. I never mentioned it. It was in my personal capacity.
And to be honest, Troy, $1 million in the Hurricanes isn't the biggest investment you've got.
No, it's not. It's tiny. And I was sitting on lots of different companies and boards, and this had nothing to do with it. It didn't even register it didn't get on my radar that it could be connected to the Hurricanes. It was totally off the radar until a journalist from Stuff contacted me and said, Did you say this? I said, absolutely I did, and I'm proud of what I said. All I really said is that Europeans should be equally proud of their ancestry, and nothing wrong with the Maoris being proud of their ancestors, and good on them. but I'm also proud of mine. And New Zealanders are all a different multicultural society, and every culture in New Zealand, is entitled to be proud of their ancestors.
All right, but whatever it was about, it could have been about tiddlywinks. You said what you thought, exercised your free speech in a completely different forum, unrelated from rugby or the Hurricanes.
Totally unrelated. And the media tried to bring it in, and I went back to them and said, is this a political story or a sports story? And I had a discussion with, and TV1 contacted me and wanted to come up to my farm and put cameras in my face and do a big story on it. And I essentially said, look, I don't see the story here. I just had a private conversation. Well, not a private conversation. It was actually on LinkedIn.
Social media conversation, yeah.
Social media conversation. And so it's got nothing to do with sport at all, with the Hurricanes, sorry. And then it went quiet, and it was they didn't do the story. They had a couple of headlines and stuff.
Yeah.
But it didn't really kick off. And what kicked it off was TJ Perenara put a tweet out where he said he's spoken to players and they felt unsafe in their roles, given a member of the board had these views.
So he was a Hurricanes player and an All Black in the All Black squad at that time, wasn't he?
He was an All Black and a Hurricanes player, and he said he felt unsafe. I'm not sure how he could feel unsafe. I mean, that's ridiculous. But anyway, he did. That's what he said. And he said that he felt it was racist, and which of course I was very confused by, because it was reverse. It was complete reverse of racism. It was actually saying that everyone could equal rights. And then he that kicked off, and of course what the mainstream media really wanted was someone to go after, and that was me. And they had TJ fanning them, fanning their audiences, and then. All hell broke loose, and you had Jacinda Ardern piped up, and Trevor Mallard and Grant Robertson got quotes in, and everyone was on the story. And Trevor Mallard said he'd never go to the box while I was on the board.
And he was the Minister of Sport at the time, wasn't he?
Yep.
And also Wainui Amata boy, closely connected to TJ Perenara, and a woman called Alice Soper.
The irony is that we used to have Grant Robertson, Trevor Mallard up to the box, up to the Hurricanes box. And of course, I was paying as a part owner, part of the cost having them. And Trevor was the first one to accept all the invitations, first one to the smorgasbords, first one to the bar, last one to leave. Everything was free. It was all handed out to him. But no, he jumped on the bandwagon, and so it was all on.
Yeah. Look, I want to get on to the president, but all this came to a head, I understand, at a Bledisloe Cup match. You then had the other board members or the management of the Hurricanes saying that you needed to resign from the board and sell your shares. And I understand it got to the point where TJ Perenara was almost prepared to lead an All Black revolt at a Bledisloe Cup test match.
Yeah, that was what was there was messages coming back from because I just said, look, I'm not standing back from what I said. I'm standing by what I said. Yeah. And if you want to, I'm an owner of the Hurricanes, and if TJ Perenara or anyone else, quite frankly, wants to buy me out, then put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
And of course they didn't, because that's not what they like. Of course they want to have an opinion and want to put
a free opinion.
Someone with that.
Yeah.
Yep. Without having any. So I just said, look, I'm not going anywhere. And then the message came back that the players, TJ Perenara was going to do a Black Lives Matter moment at the Bledisloe Cup, and some ridiculous sort of stance on that. And New Zealand Rugby, frankly, didn't handle it at all well. And the CEO, Mark Robinson, was just he was lost at sea on this and didn't really know how to handle it. And he was putting his own views forward and saying that he didn't support what I said, and they were running away from. They didn't support me whatsoever. So New Zealand Rugby and the Hurricanes.
You didn't need their support. Why did you need their support?
I didn't ask for it. I didn't. What I'm saying is that they, at the very least, they could have said Troy's entitled to his opinion. It had nothing to do with rugby.
Yeah.